Historic Preservation Commission. And see, we have a quorum present. So first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the October 7th meeting. Are there any comments or additions?
Yes, there's an addition on the second page, it might be the third page on your copy, to the paragraph that begins, "The brick and window samples were reviewed." The sentence that that reads, "Mr. Mazum noted that the east elevation shows stairs to the patio, but the first floor plan does not show stairs or a railing. That could impact the clearance for the driveway." So the clearance for the driveway was missing. And also the name of the architect who appeared on behalf of the First Presbyterian Church, her name was Julie Phelan of Grove Architects.
Okay. Any additional comments or revisions to the minutes?
Now I move approval as amended.
Second. Motion to approve and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes pass. Chair is allowed to revise the, put the new business in front of the old business because of the longevity or the size of the applicants that are coming before the commission tonight. So I'd like to start off with the 1080 Willow Avenue Daniel Guthrie deck application. Is Mr. Guthrie here?
Yes.
If you'd like to step up to the podium and introduce yourself, and if you have any comments, we've seen your package.
Yeah, I'm Daniel Guthrie. I live at 1080 Willow Avenue. We've been there since March, and so you guys have all the information as far as the packet. I tried to provide as much as I could as far as what we want to do. Ultimately, we want to keep the exact same footprint of the deck that was there, and then just replace it and update it and keep that same look, the color matched as close as we could to the old deck.
The current material is what?
Current material is wood,
Okay, and are you planning to
and we like
replace
to
it?
use a composite.
Okay.
It's got a wood look to it,
Mhm.
so it's got that wood grain look to it, and our goal was to minimize the amount of future maintenance so that we can continue to maintain the rest of the house.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Before we do that, is there anybody in the audience, a neighbor, that would like to address this application? Okay, seeing none.
I move that we accept the application as submitted.
A second.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
David for construction permits. Yep.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you.
Good job.
The second item under new business is 15 South Lake Avenue, Daniel Whirling, in-ground pool conditional use plus an accessory structure.
Hello, my name is Dan Whirling, 15 South Lake. Trying to look at a pool outbuilding just to be able to have fun during summer months and
Sure.
enjoy family and friends.
I just had one question on the fence. I didn't see a fence design on the fence facing the Hallbauer property. Is that going to be a privacy fence or?
No, sir, it's
No?
the same fence style that it's existing. We're tying
So
in on the
this-
east side, and there's a picture of that I put in the packet, I think.
Split, yes.
I can give you one if you need.
I remember seeing that. I just saw this one.
Yes, sir.
I just didn't know if you'd want to have any privacy for all the cars driving up and down Congress, 714, you know.
We have a
There's just-
tree, so far we have a tree area that pretty much takes care of somewhat of that, but we're also looking at a massive amount of dirt
I see.
that'll be excavated out of the pool area. We thought we'd go ahead and take that and just build like a small berm area
berm.
with the trees that are currently there.
Okay, so the berm would have, is a landscape element, so that will be included in the application. We'll have to say that as well.
I'm sorry,
The berm is a architectural landscape feature, which will include that as part of this application.
Okay.
Which I didn't realize was in here, so. Are there any other questions?
Is the
comments on-
16 by 30 outbuilding, is it just an open space inside, or is it broken up into rooms? or what?
It'll have just a garage area.
Okay.
And it's gonna be used mainly for taking, you know, all the chairs and
Okay.
whatever we need from the pool to be able to put it into there.
So no plumbing in there for anything?
Yeah, there'll be an out. We don't want to utilize the house if we can help it when we have guests over,
Okay.
tracking water inside the house, so that we would have a small bathroom that would be in there as well. Maybe a kitchenette at the most.
Were there renderings of the building in here somewhere?
I did not supply those, but I do have,
Just
that's
3D,
kind of the
so-
mock-up, a 3D.
Oh, there it
what
was.
it
I
is.
did see that somewhere. Okay,
And
yeah.
I have additional or not drawings, but pictures of what it could look like. I mean, that's kind of what we were looking at potentially to have, would be a garage on one side, and then on the front side would be a door into the privacy area, and then the other garage door there was to be able to open up and then utilize any free area that we could use just to have people sitting in, you know, coolness, whatever else, in the
Are you-
shade, in the porch
Are you-
area shade.
Are you looking for final approval on the outbuilding, or is this just a conceptual thing?
This is conceptual right now. I'm just trying to get everybody, let me know what you think and going from there.
We'd need more details on that for sure.
Yeah.
Design. And
Materials of the exterior windows, any level of detail you can provide so we can give approval, like if you're trying to match the house, what the roofing is, if it's gonna also match the house, it's showing up. I know it's gestural as blue, but just any kind of details you can provide would be great.
We can do that, thank you.
And as I'd mentioned to you as well, remember that it is exceeding 300 square feet. So it would need to have the same, according to our zoning code, same exterior material as the home.
And I'd just like to throw out a petition, if you will, that they're next to us on 25 South Lake, there is bead and board instead of brick for that facility or for the outbuilding that they used. It's an addition. I would use the same material as that for an outbuilding. So that's my goal, is to look similar to what is currently there from our neighbor. And our neighbors are here today if we'd like to ask them any questions as well.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we have two different approvals, right?
Well-
We have conditional use, and then we have a certificate of appropriateness for the outbuilding,
Plus the fence.
plus the fence. So
Plus the fence.
we could just act on the conditional use tonight. So at least you'd know you were gonna have a pool.
I mean, that's a good idea to split that. Before we get into any of that, would the neighbors like to speak to this application? Or no?
My name is Scott McDonald from 25 South Lake. Really, I don't have much to say other than we've agreed that they can tie into the existing fence that we have on, I guess that's the east side of the property. With regards to what he mentioned about matching what we had, I think what he meant to say was board and batten. I think, yeah, I really have anything to say about that. You guys.
But you have no
make the
objections?
call. Pardon me?
You have no objection?
I have no objections. I did provide Dan a letter advising that I don't have any concerns about tying into the fence.
Okay, good, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. So you want to do let's vote on the in-ground pool, or if there's a motion.
Okay, well,
The
there's
conditional use recommendation to,
three criteria for review of conditional uses. And the first is effect on the neighborhood, second, conformance with the village plan, and third, effect on traffic. And I think we've just heard from the neighbor that the effect on the neighborhood is benign, or at least acceptable, and I don't think there's anything in the village plan that prohibits private swimming pools, and it won't have any effect on traffic as far as I can see. So, I would.
How many friends do you have?
You?
So I would move that we approve a conditional use permit for the in-ground pool as proposed.
that's a recommendation to council, correct?
I'll second that.
Okay, so we recommend to council they
Yes.
approve it.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, the recommendation of council, will they hear that this evening?
Yeah, council will pass a resolution, or will be presented with a resolution. You don't have any reason to be there unless you're dying to be. And then we'll let you know. We'll be in touch with the next steps on
Thank you.
permitting.
Appreciate
And
it.
then as far as the building and the
Yes.
fence, bring that back next month with more details of what the building will look like
Yes, sir.
and the fence.
Yeah.
And we'll be good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Great. Thank you.
Let's see, moving on to old business. Let's see, 68 Washington, Mr. Les Edwards. He's here. I got you.
How we doing this evening?
Pretty good. Yes, we've all had a chance to see your revised house plan. This is the one, right? Oh, you've got it up there, okay. All right.
Oh,
Just
it's a little
recap,
different.
we changed
It's different
Fowling
than
Builders
this.
for design. This is the Nolan built by Taylor Homes. It's a 4-bedroom
This one's
ranch,
better.
2.5 bath. It'll have a full basement. The garage will be located, thank you, on the east side rear. One of the concerns that we had was the setbacks from the sides. And I believe that they are within the guidelines, which is, I believe, 7 feet on
In
each
that
side.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just hoping that this is going to be all right. It's going to be on one lot, so I didn't need to, our last meeting, had to do a survey and combine all the lots to one to do this.
That was the question I had on the lot. The garage doors are on the side where I don't know how you won't be able to get a car in there. Unless, but if is that lot to the right of this your lot as well?
Yes, it is.
So that is the one, if you would be entering your garage across from your other lot?
All right, the first lot that I have is where the property will be on. Then there's a small 20-foot sliver that is west of the property, and then in the backwoods is the final part of it. But where the corner is will be maybe a foot from where the existing house was.
Dave,
Yeah.
would you be able to move your cursor where it says east boundary line?
Mhm.
Is that a lot that you own on that side
the
where it
words
says
The
8
east
foot
boundary,
4?
where the
8
line is where our property line meets.
And that's 8 foot 4 feet
Yes.
or 8, what is it, 8.4
This-
feet?
That, what is outlined there in red is,
In red, that
Neighbors.
is actually, there's a grass, lawn, and then the neighbor's, driveway there. But,
So you don't own that lot?
I don't own that lot.
Okay.
So your entrance into your garage is basically, you can't get a car back there.
No.
Now, where the position is, where the garage is, right now I have a landing and a turnaround there. That's exactly where it's at, so there is enough room. It should be about the width of the
You see what I'm-
property line
well,
is-
Go ahead.
so I think please correct me if I'm wrong, what Mr. Kerr is pointing out is that you're mentioning an 8.5 foot setback
Oh, yes.
from the property line
Yes.
to the edge of the home, and then this is shown as one continuous line.
Oh, and-
Meaning your driveway would head this way, and then you would turn that way into your
Yes.
garage. And I think
Yes.
the concern is that turn is,
90 degrees.
Impossible.
Yeah.
to use a word.
So you're suggesting that I should put the door towards the rear?
Well, if you flip the plan, it looks like it's reversed. If you flip the plan,
Then
then
you'd
you'd
have
have
plenty of room.
enough room to turn and pull into the garage.
Well,
Correct.
Because you have your 7 foot setback on the left there. but then you also said you have more property, 20 foot
Yes.
wide, on to the left of that. So if you combine your parcels, you should be able to put your driveway on that extra green space that goes right into your garage. And if I'm reading your plans correctly, and if I'm looking at the renderings correctly, it doesn't affect the look of the front of your home at all. Your garage just changes.
And I hear what you're saying, and I make sure I explain it. Can you all hear me? I apologize.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that there's other people on. We'll start with the property line. Right now, where that property line is, where my driveway is, it is actually part of my driveway, which is the east.
I don't see a driveway up there.
I don't either.
No,
Is there
Can-
another?
Where's the
Can he-
driveway?
no.
I don't see a driveway on
I
that
didn't
drawing.
put the driveway down. I kind of quickly put this together.
Is
So
it-
yes, there is the space between the current driveway where the old house is roughly.
We can't visualize this.
What?
We can't visualize this. We need a drawing that shows the plot
Shows
plan
existing.
for your house with the house located on the plot plan, so that we can see what we're talking about.
All right.
So,
Give me 1 second, everyone.
Look up the address and see if
excuse-
If you need to, I can email you the cages overview.
I'm pulling that up right now. Give me just 1 second.
Could he, if he owns the other lot, could he grant himself an easement to use the other lot?
Yeah, maybe that would be easier than,
Because that lot's not gonna be buildable anyway if it's a,
right?
what do you call it?
but it may be an easement. Is the 20-foot section a entrance to the back lot?
Yes.
So you don't want, he's not gonna wanna use that for his own driveway.
But we don't allow those type of lots
plus
anymore.
all my utilities are
Let's-
on the west side.
let's wait till we get a drawing up here so we can
Yeah.
understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The design of the house is attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, the house looks very,
I
It's,
like it a lot better
it's-
now that you took away that heavy brick base on the bottom. That was way out of proportion.
Mhm.
I don't believe that back lot would be buildable anyway, would it, David?
What's that?
Well, that back lot doesn't have the frontage that you need to build.
If the lots were consolidated, he would. So if you had the small strip that's 20 feet, I don't know what it is, and then the full
Change it to
50
a
feet.
93 frontage. Right now it's at 73.4.
1 second, everybody. This has decided to be sluggish today.
And what do you need, 40 there maybe?
well,
Just a second. Here, I got it, Tom. So, what it looks. Okay.
68 Washington.
he's pulling it up.
Okay, so 68 Washington here, you can see is starting to disappear on me. There we go. So there's 68 right there.
Yes.
And then the driveway, you can see the car, it's kind of hard to see on this.
Yes.
Yeah. I
The
see it.
driveway's appears to be bisected by the property line, which of course is a condition that could not be reconstructed unless there's an easement that exists between 68 and 64, but even then, I don't think this
Can we
committee
hold
could.
it down out in the audience, please?
So the driveway, according to your plan, according to the plan, would sit, if that red line is the property line, the dash line here, the driveway would sit within that dash line to
Yes.
the east, or the
Yes.
west of that dash line. And I think the concern is that at 8.5 feet, commonly driveways are 10, 15 feet, that there's, I mean, just the way I'm seeing it, very little space for a full width driveway, let alone the necessary angle to maneuver a vehicle to get into the garage.
And I see,
Because you're gonna be turning, you're gonna have to turn at 90
You
degrees.
can't
and so we could flip it back. Our only concern was that space. We're gonna utilize the space behind the current push, for a possible deck down there. When we
Right.
put a driveway there, we lose that ability. So that's why we're opting that, plus the cost of, we're only getting 50 feet of driveway. And so if we had moved there, we would either have to opt for a gravel once we get past the house. 'Cause
Am-
if-
Am I reading this correctly? I mean, on the other side, you only have 7-foot setback, and you've got 8.4 feet setback on the other side.
Yes.
Both. So you're basically in the same situation, whichever way you flip this.
Unless you consolidate.
And
Unless I
show
consolidate.
me where the consolidated lot, the lot you're referring to. I know we discussed this.
And it's that yellow dash line.
It's hard to tell.
I can't see it.
Yeah.
It's a dashed line here. Let me see if I can. The layers can. There we go. That's a little better. So you can see
Oh, I see.
that. Thanks, Dan. There's a dashed line there. I don't know what agreement exists with the neighbor as far as accessing that property.
Because they have a driveway here.
They do.
I mean,
They
that
have a driveway,
exists.
and part of their building is on your property then?
Yeah, yes.
No, Cage's is so far off, there's,
No, but I think it is.
you think it is?
It truly is. I mean, I live
I think
right
it
there.
came up. Yeah.
All right, so I think what's,
Hey, Jackie, did I tell him in the meeting right now?
I think we need a better plat plan
All right, so.
to show the house located on the plat.
All right, so
But-
I'm gonna have to do a land survey.
Yep.
It's definitely size, I think so.
And also indicate the location
Your
and,
driveway
and
can be up to 6 inches.
radius of the driveway.
And look up in architectural standards what the radius to get into your garage will be, otherwise it's gonna be useless to you.
All right.
Other than
Unless you
for
enter from
storage,
behind.
other than for
You
storage.
can go all the way down and enter from the back, but then you
Is
have
there
even
an
more
alley
driveway.
back there?
Yeah.
All right, you know what we need,
All right,
but you're making excellent progress.
all right. Now,
Yeah, it's a
while
nice
I'm
house.
still here, there's a couple things on here to critique, so.
Sure.
We don't revisit that. I know that the shutters have to be gone. That's been in the past. Dave and I talked,
You wanna put the
about
picture back
the
up?
chimney. So I finally got a hold of the builder, and I sent you a rendering
Yeah,
this morning.
Let me see if I have.
But this is a different design than you had last month.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
that was what.
it's a different
Clay
style.
proposed. Oh, no, you're right. That was the
So-
Waverly from, I was avoiding trying to use the land survey because I talked to, I'm trying to think of Duffy and Ryan from Duffy, and there was a lag time. It's like, you know, even if we put you today, we're not gonna be able to get you into, around this time.
Sure.
And then, in fact, I was trying to avoid consolidating, all 3 lots, because I was hoping just to get it 20 feet to get that, and he said, no, I have to have ability to access the 3rd lot, so I have to find out. And so, plus the additional cost
All right.
of that, and, had to go to a title company to have the legal description of the deed rewritten. I was trying to avoid all of that.
As far as the shutters go, on this design, I don't see why they wouldn't be appropriate on this design. They look nice.
Yeah, I did too. And they're the right size.
This is a different style house, so we don't have the same.
If you have really wide windows and narrow shutters, then it doesn't
All
work.
right, so the shutters are okay on this?
This rendering
think so.
looks
Okay.
fine.
And then my builder said, cause I asked her, where can I put the chimney?
Mhm.
Her response was, well, ask the committee where you want to put it. But I was looking on the blueprint this afternoon. There's actually a space in the corner in the great room, if you look at the blueprint layout for it. Yes, I would just put it there. I really don't want to get a chimney, but
You know, you can do the chimney and not have it be a working chimney. You don't,
Yeah, but it's still the cost of building a brick. I even looked at the false one, and then one of the things I showed you was the chimney shroud, because I had the idea that we should have some kind of fluke for either the plumbing, airflow for the plumbing, or we could exhaust, say, the heat through it and put a chimney shroud around it to get the same look that you all require. And the design I had was, remember the lattice one that you were talking about? I love that one. That was like, wow, that was really neat.
Yeah, it was boxed, basically a boxed-in lattice, but it was open air. I mean, it was typical deck lattice look. So it didn't have in my opinion, didn't have an appearance of a chimney. I have an image of it if we're going to look at it. But the other was a cupola.
The cost of
Oh, I forgot
a
about that.
non-functional chimney should be very minimal on that.
Oh. I got a quote from this company in Illinois on Sunday, $10,000. I was like,
So you didn't understand what
you
you
know,
want.
I didn't, but he emailed me this morning when I said, you know, it's an awful lot. Why wouldn't I just do the bill? And so I guess there's a cap in the top. He's still wanting $3,000 for it.
That's all right.
It's
Okay.
a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
So you've got some homework to do.
Fortunately, so make
So,
sure my homework is
we'll need-
get the surveyor, make sure I have enough radius to turn for a garage. If it's not enough where my current design is, change it to where it is, and
Yep.
as well as it doesn't affect either my west or my east boundary lines.
Yep.
You could
So-
possibly grant yourself an easement on that other lot to give yourself the radius. You don't have to stay within the confines of that lot since you own both of them.
Oh, that's all I had to do?
I would think so.
Do we
Yeah.
need a motion
I'm
to
not a
defer
real
till
estate
next
attorney,
month?
but
He needs to, approve it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need you to approve us deferring till next month till we get the, what we need so that we don't.
Are you gonna have one next month since it's the holiday?
Sure.
Yeah.
December.
First Monday in December. Let's
Second.
refer for next month.
right.
It was no way they were gonna start building this year anyway.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, Mr. Edwards.
No,
We'll see
thank
you next month.
Every time I come here, I learn
Details.
something new.
All right.
You'll have a good night. Thanks
Right.
again.
Thank you.
And by the way, the chimney design was
Yeah, just
okay?
box
First one was okay?
The brick look.
you know, you may not even have to do the brick look because you have siding on the side of those dormers. You might just be able to use siding on that
Yeah.
chimney.
Yeah.
Just
And
use
what-
the same, similar
And so
material.
would it be similar to the false chimneys where they have like a base and a top and then it's actually wrapped with,
It's flashing at the bottom. It's a box set on the roof. It's not heavy or anything.
all right.
And then the box would have siding on it, and then it'd have a cap on it, so the water can't penetrate down through it.
I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna go pass this to my wife, because every time I like something, and I know this is on video, because I looked at it other time, so honey, I'm sorry, I'm just being honest.
That'd be the least expensive option, is to do the siding, but the artificial brick isn't very heavy either, you know, as long as you get somebody that knows what they're doing.
I'm trying to keep this house affordable, and it's so far.
Sure.
This builder has not deceived us yet, and the price is so far. But there's a lot of things that, may I ask just, I have homework for the builder, and I need to get pricings for meters, and I believe I sent, Spencer or you about that. And I just wanted to make sure, because so far, like I talked to the utility company, they're like, we're not gonna charge you anything as long as you use our service within 6 months and keep it for a year. And I'm just like, why am I doing this thing? And then the water, who do I reach out for sewer and water?
That would be our office.
All right.
I don't know without looking it up, but I would say that the former property, the old house there, had a water and a sewer tap.
Yes.
So you should not, I'll say should not, have to pay a tap fee.
All right.
You'll just have to use those existing taps.
All right.
And then plumb into the home. So
All
run
right.
your service line and
All right.
get a meter.
All right.
But you should be able to avoid the tap fees because they already had
Sure it's
existing
not
taps.
lead.
That's even better. You're saving me money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for your time. I apologize. I know you already know.
There's examples.
All right.
Type of chimney. I think
Next
there's examples
item
of
on
that
the
kind of
agenda,
chimney
the
in
Hoyas new house, or 20 West Fountain house design with revisions. Welcome back. Who would like to?
Good evening.
Good evening. Speak.
Yep.
Any
So,
updates since last month?
yeah, we have some updates and I have some handouts. If you remember when we met last month, there was about 7 items that you asked us to go back and address. We did address those items, and I do have materials, specs, and copies of our door materials here. I think I got about 8 of them, but just as a reminder, you asked for dimensions for the home, including windows and garages. You asked about the rear deck, which we ended up designing out of the project. You felt the whole home footprint and drive was needed. The information is prepared as most important piece required for this point in the presentation. So the second bullet was design material specs for exterior door, including garage door. The third item was to reduce the column capital for the front porch. The fourth item was to design material spec the second bump out, second story bump out. And then there was the deck and stair in the rear, which we removed. Then you asked for a shifting of the garage 1 foot on the east side, which we
west side.
accomplished.
West side.
So
West
west
side.
side, move it 1 foot east.
Okay,
Is what I was trying to say. Sorry about that. On the west, for the west elevation, and then confirming the material for the chimney. So these items are here. You can
This
take
is the
one
same.
and pass it around.
That's what we've already
The
received.
site plan is there. There's an elevation that adds some color, but the columns, the doors, the garage door spec, front and back page are all there.
question. The drawings show the porch roof as standing seam metal. Is that what you're intending?
Yeah, 10. So on, I think the 4th page, you'll see the metal roof with the small standing seam. That goes to the
Have we seen
Kubla.
this yet? Was this submitted yet?
This, we're just receiving this tonight.
No, I haven't seen this
Do
before.
you have another copy for,
Okay, and then the other,
and this wasn't on one page.
okay, the other question that I had was about the shutters. And the type of, when, at the last meeting, we discussed paneled shutters.
Yes.
And that's not what's shown here. And the ones that you're showing are more typical of a Tudor house, and so paneled shutters would really be more appropriate.
We'll stay with the panel shutters there.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Those are nice.
Your inset door leading to the driveway off the kitchen, in the elevation, the door shows centered. In the floor plan, it shows skewed to the side. And it doesn't, on the floor plan, it doesn't indicate the 2 steps that show up in your elevation, 2 risers. Didn't know how you were addressing that.
I'm sorry, Dan, which one are you?
I'm looking at the elevation is the east elevation. There's the door that has been inset. That leads into the kitchen. And that door in the plan shows right justified. and the elevation shows it's centered, but the plan also doesn't show the 2 steps that the elevations show.
You step out of the door,
Yes, sir.
and you kind of, I had some dashes there to actually show the elevation change, but it started to get confusing.
Okay.
But regardless, you step out of the door, step one,
and
and then
that's
you
a step?
step down.
Okay.
Those are our 2 steps.
Okay, those are the 2 steps.
Yep.
Okay.
But as far as positioning, Dan, you mentioned it,
It's
To the
the
north
elevation
side.
shows it's centered.
Yeah,
That
it-
door's centered on there.
The
But
elevation
in-
should show the inset
In
to the left.
plan, it shows justified to one side.
Yeah.
In the whole back, am I reading it correctly that I'm looking at your floor plan of the first floor? The back area is all now one level?
Yeah.
And it's the driveway itself?
Yeah,
Or
the
paver, whatever
pave
you're
areas,
thinking?
yeah.
That's all one area, okay. And does that all sheet off to the east side of the house? All that water would run off to the
Northeast,
to the
northeast.
right side of the house?
Yeah,
Okay.
northeast, south.
And then looks like you got rid of you eliminated the windows, the basement windows on the east side.
Correct.
I'm just curious, dimensionally wise, looking at your south elevation, the windows to either side of your little bump out in the middle, distance between the window and actually the bump out, because I don't know what size that shutter is depicting. Because in your second floor plan, it shows 2'6" is your clearance in there.
Can you zoom
For a
into
shutter.
the second floor dimension there, Dave?
Yeah, 2'6". This is where you have one of the shutters.
Yes.
In there, so to make sure that
2'6".
relates correctly to the elevation.
I'm gonna move to the elevation.
Yeah, that was actually 2'6".
The shutter's
If I'm
not
measuring
2'6".
something, the
Yeah.
door looks like it's 6'0", 3-foot doors unless you have 2'6" doors, so it's kind of related. So if that's supposed to be a 3'0" door, that might be 2'6" visually.
It probably is.
Okay. I know that was a concern last time. I was just asking.
The bump out was wider last time, and I fixed it. There was some inconsistency there, so I
Okay.
think we're shutters and bump out. We're good.
Did you include some specification for the windows in this package? I don't see it. Maybe you can direct me.
There were window dimensions that were included in the drawings. Are you referring to the construction style of the windows?
Well, yeah, the specs for the windows, are they metal, are they fiberglass, are they, vinyl clad wood, are they
They're
true
clad.
divided lights, are they simulated divided light, are they?
They're divided light. There is a note in there that
Oh,
speaks
there's a
to them.
table.
Yep, and the sizes are there. And I brought a sample of the divided lights last time. I brought it again this time.
Okay, thank you.
So we understand the guidelines, and
Thank
that
you
our
very
spec will
much.
meet those.
Okay, appreciate it. I just didn't see it here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we're excited to address these last concerns, setbacks, fronts, and columns and things like that, and would again move to approve our project so we can finish the necessary work for permits.
I also see you included your square
Oh,
footage
yeah.
calculation. Would you like to
Yeah,
discuss
thanks,
that
Tom.
sheet?
So I went through auditor's map and learned the square footages of our neighbors, realizing that we have an attached garage, the others don't. So the footprint that you all shared, I think Michael and others, that what we should consider as a comparable. I kind of did it both ways, showing the footprint of the house without the garage and with the garage. And what I found, which is the bottom 20 West Fountain, is that our square footage, as you average the other three homes, comes in under slightly to the three homes that are there. We are also under the height for our two-story residence than the historical homes on our street. So I feel, again, we're in keeping, which is what we talked about earlier, of our footprint and massing to the street. So that comparison shows that this is what the messaging is for this particular chart, with all the addresses shown above and what's contributing and what's not.
Okay, just a small adjustment on your chart, and thank you for this
Yeah.
information. 40 West Fountain is a pivotal. We have these two categories,
Okay.
pivotal and contributing. 40 West Fountain is pivotal. 25 West Fountain is pivotal. 30 West Fountain, just to the west, is contributing.
Okay.
Just to be clear.
Even though those categories exist, I treated them all as all
Okay.
important homes.
Okay.
And I didn't take any of them out of the calculation.
Okay,
So-
and could you say what is the width of the front elevation?
It's really 58, not
58?
59 and change. I know I on the site plan I
It's
rounded
almost
it up.
there. There it is.
59.8.
Yes.
Okay, so I measured some of the other front elevations on the block, and 40 West Fountain was 44, 25 West Fountain was 62, just for the center section. 30 West Fountain is 50 feet wide, so it's 9 feet wider than its immediate neighbor on the west, but it's not the widest house on the block.
Any other comments about the square footage chart? Anything else?
No, I hope it was comprehensive. And it just kind of gives you some idea of where we are.
All right. David, with this, I understand you have a presentation
Yes.
concerning the square footage and the ordinances concerning the square footage.
So as I get this pulled up, thank you, Chair, I wanted to talk about one of the requirements underneath our zoning code, which is being discussed here now because we have these measurements, we have these dimensions, and let me pull them up here as we. My apologies, I thought I had this queued up. All right, give me 1 second here. Let me get this. Appreciate everybody's patience as I. Promise we're getting there. This stuff is always so cool when it works, you know? Alright, so, what I did was I took a look at the existing plans, and what was provided in measurements from the applicant, and looked underneath our zoning code in 15446 D5 reads, in part, to maintain the stature of pivotal buildings, The footprint of any new building erected on a lot adjacent to a lot containing a pivotal building shall not exceed the footprint of the pivotal building. This was passed in 2001 with other amendments to the historic district requirements. This is, and it's worth mentioning, this is outside of the guidelines. This is actually within the requirements of our zoning code and historic district guidelines. So defining adjacent properties, the code does not specifically define the word adjacent. However, it uses the words adjoining and adjacent simultaneously. So we defer, in lack of a better definition in our code, defer to kind of a commonly accepted definition. Law Dictionary provides that adjacent can be defined as properties nearby or adjoining, so either adjoining, touching property lines, or across the street from, could be considered adjacent. And then additionally, we have some precedent in that adjacent is used in the sense of notification to mean all properties that touch, including those across the street from a subject property. So, for instance, if we have a conditional use, we mail it to adjacent properties. That includes properties across the street. So looking at the map, there are two adjacent pivotal structures, and I'm going to try to zoom in here. I apologize, it's not as large as I thought it was going to be, but the subject property lot is highlighted in blue in the center of the image there, and then the two pivotal adjacent structures have the star symbol over them. It's 825 Congress, which is the Glen House, and then 25 West Fountain, which is listed here in the footprint measurements provided by the applicant. Looking at those two properties, 825 Congress, using the auditor's measurements, provides a footprint of 2,316 square feet. Now, this is not living space. This is not conditioned space. This is pure building footprint, excluding porches, is 2,316 feet. And then 25 West Fountain, which is directly across the street, main building footprint, according to Hamilton County Auditor, is 2,916 square feet. So that is the spaces there that were provided by the Hamilton County Auditor's site. Looking then at those calculations, 25 West Fountain at 2,916 feet and 825 Congress at 2,316 feet, compared to the proposed, which is on the paperwork submitted with the application. The tables here was listed at 3,842 square feet because it includes the attached garage. It is part of the footprint of the building. Is exceeding the adjacent pivotal structures by 926 square feet and 1,526 square feet. Additionally, worth mentioning, I went and did the footprints as drawn using the dimensions provided on the application and got a footprint of the home at 3,231 square feet and then a footprint of the garage at 923 square feet. So different than what was reported here on the table, and adds an additional 1,200 square feet versus 125 West Fountain compared to 926. So looking at this as essentially a mathematical equation, a mathematical function of the size of the property versus pivotal structures adjacent to it, the design proposed here does not appear to conform with the design requirements underneath the village's code.
So the two pivotal properties, do they have detached structures for vehicles or carriages or anything like that?
I know 25 West Fountain does, but and 825 does. The code does discuss a main building, so that would be the home, and those those accessory structures are some distance. I know 25, it's pretty far out in the yard. I don't know specifically about 825, but I know it's not, right next to it, so it wouldn't be considered in proximity to the main building.
Sure.
Well, even if it was right next to it, if it was detached, it's still a detached structure. So that would be a way to knock 900 something feet off of it, would just be to detach the garage.
Even still, according to,
It'd still be
yeah,
bigger,
according to the application at 3,002,
but it'd
12
probably
square
be
feet, you're still,
workable.
yeah, still.
And this is an ordinance, not in the guideline. This is an ordinance.
That's correct. This is in
Not
our
a
design
guideline.
requirements section, not within the guidelines.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think there should be a way to create apples to apples that's attached. And that's what I attempted to do, was to create apples to apples comparison, whether you're detached or not.
If the garage was, separated from the building or maybe connected with a breezeway, would it still be part of the footprint?
It still would be part of the footprint. I went through this with Wally years and years ago. If it's connected with a breezeway, it's considered attached to the house
It has to
and
be
it's subject to all the
detached.
setbacks of the house, not just a accessory structure.
Yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
If it was, and then if it was detached, and if the home would have to meet or come under that 2,316 square feet of 825 Congress, because it does back up to that property, so it is adjacent to that property.
And then also, just so you know, my square footage was living space. So I took in my numbers on the inside, not the outside.
Okay, well,
That's the difference.
yeah, okay. So then the correct numbers for the footprint would be the exterior measured space of 3,231 and
Footprint's
923.
Covered and heated space is inside.
Footprint.
And,
But we're-
and Beaumont.
footprint
Right, we're
is-
discussing the,
Now,
the code section refers to
Yeah.
footprint, which is classified differently than livable space. It's building space, building, actual structure space.
So if it was detached, it would still be 300 or so.
So, yeah, something like that.
Is it about?
Well, if it was, sorry to interrupt
Go
your
ahead.
thought there, but comparing to 825, if it was detached, it'd be about 900,
Oh,
too big, compared to 825 Congress.
So footprint then, would that also add lower level basement too? Or
No.
I'm just
No.
trying to make sure I'm
That's
understanding
where-
what livable versus footprint.
That's
is.
building
it
walls
doesn't
on
include
earth.
second floor, it's just.
Yeah,
Yeah, building walls on earth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Space on the ground.
I get it. Just trying to clarify.
Yep.
So as submitted, this ordinance specifically would deny this application, is what?
That's
is what we're
that's
saying.
my interpretation
Depending
of
on the
the code.
definition of adjacent.
Well, it
the law
does.
in Congress
It
bumps
does,
up
but the
against
Congress property directly contacts it, so that would,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's the smaller of the two, so that would be the stricter of the two measurements. So it would be, regardless of adjacent definition or not, it would. Yeah, it'd have to be.
Again,
that's on-
seems strange, odd, out of line, because my neighbor is on Fountain, not Congress. So the comparison should be Fountain, regardless of my backyard.
It's adjacent to.
It's with the definition of adjacent, it would still be across the street. It would still be exceeding the footprint.
Thank you. Well, that seems to summarize by code as submitted this evening. Doesn't match that specific code in our ordinances. That's not a guideline, that's a code, so
So you're happy with these findings?
I can go, yes.
I wouldn't necessarily say happy with.
I can only read what it says, so this package we have before us tonight doesn't meet that.
And the square footage that you're looking for is under,
2,300.
If you detach the garage, it would be still 900 feet too large.
96. 96 feet.
feet.
So that,
Well-
if the garage were not part of the footprint, it would be 96 feet greater than 25 West Fountain.
No, they're looking
The-
at Congress.
The Congress, yes, the Congress property is 2316. The as measured based on the drawings for the exterior footprint was 3,231. So it would be about 900 square feet
Without the garage.
without the garage, with the detached garage.
Yeah.
And at 923 square feet, the detached garage, assuming you maintain the setbacks, would be acceptable because it's 750 square feet, or half of the footprint, whichever is larger. So that would work. But as far as conforming with 825 Congress to the north, it would have to be under that 2,316 square foot.
We've met our setback requirements. That's not the issue. I guess the issue is the size, is what
The
you're
size,
saying.
yeah.
And you want to use the worst case scenario to define the success of
I'm
this project.
using what the code outlines as a requirement,
The worst case scenario.
which is what the
Throw
code
that up
outlines.
there.
Which is back. I'm just
Yeah,
putting
no,
that
I
out
understand,
there.
and I understand your interpretation of it, or
Yeah, you
might be
really
different,
just
but the
don't, you don't
codes-
want the project to happen.
that's not true.
No.
No, that's not
No,
true.
that's, we want it to conform with the requirements of the village. So,
I cannot do let me put it this way. It is the planning commission's responsibility to review the architectural style and design of the home, looking at the mathematical equation of the size of the home versus what's listed in our code. Based on what's been provided, it does not conform.
yeah. So this is not even a planning commission issue at this point.
At this point, it's truthfully a zoning code issue.
Yes.
You could, underneath our zoning code, apply for a variance for the property. That process does take time. That process involves a board of appeals. And there's no guarantee on that outcome. I can certainly be happy to follow up with you with the details of how to go through that process. But as far as the application sits today, it does not conform.
Who represents the Board of Appeals?
It's a member of board of 5 or 6 individuals that review planning commission, or review applications for zoning approval that are appealing the decision of the zoning commissioner, which is myself. So my decision that this does not conform, you're requesting a variance, which is essentially a permission not to conform with the zoning code. And those are reviewed on an individual basis based on, there are some outlined conditions in our code, specifically hardship or other undue difficulty as a result of the decision. And I'd be happy to send you those code sections. You can take a look at them and let me know if you want to pursue it.
Yeah, send it to me.
Yep.
So for our purposes this evening, does that take it off the table? Do we need to vote on this at all?
I don't think so, unless the commission's feeling inclined to.
All right.
I guess
that
the
it?
only thing we could do is let them understand whether it would be acceptable even if you got a variance. I mean, it seems like that would be a fair thing to do.
That's the next step. I think at this point, you need to go off and do what you need to do, is either by zoning board of appeals or revising your package, your application, the house. And it doesn't sound like an attached garage is gonna fly with the square footage requirements, otherwise your house would become too small, basically. So you need to make that decision, what you plan to do now.
You'll send me those notes?
Yep. I'll send, yeah. I forwarded you a copy of this earlier today.
Yeah, I just got it.
All right. I don't know if there's anybody else. This application is off the table, so does anybody have any points of discussion?
We address 2 things that were said when this comes back? Quickly,
Excuse me?
could we address some of the things that were just said quickly, should it come back?
If you like.
I mean,
Quick, I bet there's nothing on the,
no,
on
there'd be
the
a
table
new,
at this
it'd be a
point.
new design
It'll
at
be
the.
new.
There's no reason.
Everything will be new.
Yeah.
So, cart before the horse, so. All right, thank y'all. That's it on the agenda items. Any other business? to discuss
Uh,
tonight?
I'll make a motion to
Well,
adjourn, I
there
guess.
were a
Oh,
couple
wait,
of-
there might be, I'm
A
sorry.
couple of items of interest to the commission. And I think maybe the mayor can fill us in on a few things.
Certainly, I'll try.
One is the status of the Johnston House. Another is, can we discuss notification of adjacent property owners?
Yes, we can discuss both.
And, yeah,
Well, I can give you my opinion of one and then my knowledge of the other. So the first and probably easiest one, and I think everyone might agree that notice to adjacent property owners for a new building should probably be the same as the notice for a fence, a swimming pool, or any other item. So
Absolutely.
this is a, probably an oversight where it was maybe assumed it would just be a natural, but it's not spelled out that way. This issue will go to the Laws Committee, and the Laws Committee will make a recommendation to council as to how that should be written, with a good amount of input from our administrator. And then that change for the code will come then to planning and then probably to council at that point for a vote. I don't see, these are all formalities. I don't see why a new building doesn't get the same treatment as any other modification to a property.
It does.
Well, no, but I think a change would be warranted for this.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Right. Not that it exists that way now, but to amend our code so that it reflects that. So if there were a new structure to be built or a new home to be built, that notice would be given to the surrounding property owners. And if the committee so chooses to make that change, recommend to council, council so chooses, and planning agrees, then we'll make that change. So that's one thing. The other, you asked about the Johnston House, and it was brought to our attention several months ago that the Sisters of the Transfiguration, Society of the Transfiguration, the sisters wanted to tear down that house. And they no longer have use for the home, and they feel it would be a bit of a hardship for them to maintain it. So Beth Sulliberger and I went and talked to the sisters about potential options, other ways they might think about using the property, or perhaps even selling the property. They do not want to sell any of their property. They kind of own that whole block and want to keep it contained. They considered other uses. We brought a construction company with expertise in structural fitness of use, and they had indicated to the sisters, and the sisters believed them, that there was nothing structurally wrong with the house. Someone had indicated to them there were structural issues, but this company pointed out there were none. As a matter of fact, it's in good condition for a house that age.
Great condition.
Great condition even. So just a week or so ago, Sister Diana, who's the Mother Superior there, called and asked for a meeting. I went over and met with her. They evaluated what it would take to update the house, plumbing, electrical, and try to reuse it. And that seems to be cost prohibitive. They don't like the idea of having to care for an aging building. They also have made a pledge, and the entire Episcopal Church is headed this way, a green initiative to try to be carbon neutral by 2030, and they've signed that pledge. And as they move forward with all their buildings, they're trying to be LEED certified on everything, and this will present a bit of a challenge to be LEED certified. Now, it could be done, and I did point out to her that when you repurpose a building, you do score points because you're not sending materials to landfill, you're not purchasing new material, but they have made up their mind that they are going to demolish the house. So that is the status now. I don't think there's any chance of changing their mind. When the house is down, they're gonna convert to green space and make it sort of a part of the park-like setting they have now, and they have no immediate plans for the rest of that, where that house sits. It's a shame. It is a shame.
And it is not in a local historic district, and therefore there is no protection for it.
No, we have no
So-
control. As soon as they file a permit to demo, the village has to comply and issue them the permit, and they can take it down.
Unless their deed has some restrictions because they were donated that property in 1978, and it could have been a restricted donation to.
I have not seen anything related to that, but it would be worth researching that if,
Martin was gonna have somebody look into it.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's a good idea.
Is there any possibility, or was there any discussion of having them donate it and have someone move it?
They
I
would
think
do
it would be
that.
almost impossible to move the house. If someone wants to take that on, they're willing to donate it and allow someone to move it. But it would be very tricky to
It'd be cut
move
into
that
pieces.
house. It's not a square. A lot of times just a square box can be moved. That one would be extremely tricky to move.
With all the trees.
Yes. So they have asked for our help in documenting what's there, either through film or written documentation, so we'll endeavor to do that with them. And they're also interested in trying to preserve some of the architectural elements of the house. And so I don't know how to move that forward or to help them with that. We're not equipped to do that, but there are many auction houses and websites that could come in, inventory what's there, and put different elements like mantles for sale, doors and door frames, windows. There are some beautiful architectural elements in that house.
I know the wooden nickel would do it.
Or Wooden Nickel could
Yeah.
come and take a look at it as well. And I think they have a certain amount of expertise in removing architectural
Yeah, they
artifacts.
do.
Certainly do.
Yes.
Joe Ray out of Louisville.
Okay, so, if you, as you think of these, email me, because we will have a follow-up meeting with them probably this week.
And we appreciate the efforts that you have made
And you as
to
well.
try to preserve the house.
Yes, we gave it our best shot.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Any questions about that?
Oh, just, I did have a question. What constitutes a pivotal building? What criteria?
Well, it has to be on the National Historic Register. And then as far as pivotal goes, that's specific to Glendale, I guess?
Well, it was a term that, who is the older preservationist who? Doreen. It's a term that Doreen Gove used when she did the National Register nomination for Glendale in 1976. And she defined it as homes that were part of the original construction of, original development of Glendale before 1900.
So it never would have been pivotal, but it would have been contributing.
Well, my house was,
Oh, go-
what Larry had mentioned this, it was just, the original building, is, I would, safe estimate was say 1850. It was part of the, was a gardener's shed. It was part of the, I think, part of Larry's property at one time, and I'm just wondering, would that be considered pivotal?
No, it's contributing.
Contributing? Okay.
Contributing.
Where is your house, sir?
775 Congress.
Okay.
Corner of Congress, and could we
Oh, he's
give
got
you
it already.
something that might be helpful from what we've all been doing?
There's a few copies.
The entire property we've just been dealing with for the last 2 years, every foot of its property line is either a National Historic Landmark, a pivotal, or a contributing building. So the precedent of doing something in any way, even close to non-conforming, but you can't say, well, there was something there that wasn't, would totally negate the entire Greenville Code.
Okay.
But I have one other thing to mention here that I think we haven't talked about. Nobody's applied on that property for a demolition permit. And there's a built-in covered large swimming pool there. It's been covered, from what I know from neighbors who've lived there a long time, for at least 35 years. It was filled with something. The manhole's still there, the electric is live and still there, and until there's a demolition permit to clear the property for use, God knows what they filled it with, but I guarantee you it was construction debris, and there's a lot of asbestos in it. So that, we're, the cart's way in front of us.
What's next?
It's not just zoning, it's the fact that there's an existing structure there.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other old business?
Okay. One quick thing,
Sorry.
on this evening's planning, or council agenda, is a resolution to initiate a zoning code amendment process. Laws Committee had worked on some new language regarding chickens in the village and some changes to the zoning code to regulate fences, coops, and runs was discussed, and that will be starting the zoning code process in January. It will appear in front of the Planning Commission because they have to go through a notification period. So get ready to talk chickens in January.
And no roosters allowed.
No roosters.
All right.
No ducks allowed.
Any other old business?
Sexual disturbance.
Mayor?
Ducks at the ground. Do you have ducks?
Mayor?
I
Mayor.
think you're discriminating against the Oregon Ducks then. Oh, yes, a motion to adjourn. I'll suggest a motion.
Here a
Make
second.
motion to
Second.
adjourn.
All's in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.